Really, first of all, thank you for coming to the podcast again after we had changed. We have grown. We are now doing this for about, this is the second year. I think we're podcasting the second year. This is episode 98, 2 episodes to 100 for us to reach 3 numbers. This is season 2. We did season 1, it had like 10 episodes, but we did season 1 throughout lockdown, so we're not meeting. Most of those episodes are online. So we've had issues on sound. Of course, we are now only supposed to be streaming these episodes, but there's something wrong with the internet today, so I figured we'll just pre-record, but also we don't have a lot of work in the pipeline, so to be live as soon as Today is Tuesday.
Yeah.
So by Thursday, week, right? I'll release this on Thursday morning.
The real?
Share to the world. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can first talk to me about you, what you're up to. Probably the listeners, if you want them to like understand, to get like a sense of who you are, so that they can connect that to the whole conversation we're going to have, that would be good. But yeah. It's freeway.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't like to say I like to describe who I am most of the time, yeah. I recently found out there's like a lot of things that I can do, and I hate to be in that place. I used to think it was cool, being able to know so many things and stuff like that, yeah. Yeah, but I started finding it out that being able to do way too many things is just something that strips you of your time, takes away your focus. You get burnt out easily.
So saying multitasking is bad. It's a bad thing.
It's I think it's just something I got to realize after trying out so many things. Well, one thing I actually just for a minute came to my mind. I want to take back. Multitasking isn't as bad as saying.
Yeah, because I was going to tell you, you know how they say a master, being a master at one trade makes you. There's that saying about a jack at all trades, something. A master of none. A jack of all trades is a master of none.
Of none, yeah.
But do you have to be a master at all the trades?
Well, I'm not going to put my things at extremes like very many people like to qualify or package and say this is good, this is bad, yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily say multitasking is bad. At the beginning, when you don't have values aligned and things that you're looking up to, if you don't have like a vision and stuff, multitasking is bad because it's going to cause so much chaos in whatever you do, right? So multitasking is good for people who have grown with a certain kind of system. You have a system in place, you know how to work within your values, you know how to work within like you literally know how your process is. It's like how a tree grows. A tree grows with a main branch, but doesn't mean it doesn't have other branches. But first, it knows where it grows from. It grows with one main branch before.
The stem is on the main branch.
Yeah, so that is something I would assume multitasking works like, right? So it's basically growth. So how you grow comes down to a number of things. Do you have the values that you try to follow? It's not for other people. You don't create values for other people. You create them for yourself, right? If it's stuff like self-boundaries or personal boundaries and, the things that you look forward to. So there's really a host of things in there. If I'm to say, by the time you start multitasking, you should be or reach a point where you are very contented. You are very strong with your values. You're very strong with the things that you give out there. You know what you give. Yeah. So I think that's basically how it works.
Now let's look at you. What are like your top values and drivers? For example, do you like prioritize wealth? Is fame important to you? Are you a believer? Do you prioritize Christian values? Things like that.
Well, wealth is a priority for everyone.
Money is very important.
Yeah, it's very important. Everything, every aspect of life is actually important. And for me, what comes of those is actually like values. How would someone describe wealth? I think that's the beginning. What would I look at as wealth to me? Yeah.
Oh, what are values
Yeah.
actually? Before we go into like what's wealth, because wealth is like one of the values we're looking at. But what are values like? What are your top values?
Or like literally just
Yeah.
So-
Okay. What does it mean to you when we talk of values?
When you talk of values, those are the things that I believe I have time to do.
Okay.
The things that I love, right?
Okay.
Like things that I would create. I would take my life away from the everyday hustle, the everyday business, and have time to do. The things that I value, stuff like my mental health, family time, therapy, and stuff like that. Just having a conversation itself is a value. Something meaningful. Yeah. So that is where most of our values come from. So if I value having meaningful conversations, am I going to be someone who throws myself in a place where people are not going to listen? Because that's what meaningful conversation comes out of, right?
Yeah.
It's listening. It's about giving what you're talking.
And being present in the listening.
Exactly, and being present. Yeah. So it's giving and listening. So if I value something like a good conversation, am I going to throw myself like in a bar where there's loud music and people, So values basically come out of knowing who you are as an individual, the things that you treasure, the things that you look forward to. So if I have an absolutely busy day, if I know I get up very early, I have to, set up so many things for, let's say I have family, that look up to me. Maybe I'm a provider and stuff. So, I have to do so many things before I go to work. So I'm busy all the time throughout the day. In the evening, I have to go. Maybe you have kids, you have to pick them from school and, have them organized and all that kind of stuff. So if family is your value, you need to know, after I'm done with all this, maybe is therapy one of the things that, help me out with this, like in the evening. So is it going to be a conversation? Is it going to be something like art and painting? Is it going to be something like a good movie? Is it going to be a nice book that you want to read, right? So they all come out of knowing who we are, the things that give us peace, the things that give us, the kind of comfort that we want. Yeah. So I recently decided that instead of looking for love, I don't think it's a man's place to look for love. Yeah. I really believe as a man.
How so? We're designed to believe. Okay, I don't know. But let me first listen to you.
I really think as a man, there are things that I have chosen. I have chosen stuff like respect over love. So those are things I'm going to be looking for. Okay. I'd rather have people respect me and my ideas and the things that I give out, than, love, I would rather have peace over, being overly happy all the time. But I would rather have a peaceful kind of place. So that is kind of the things that I have chosen to look for. So that means everything I'm going to give, I'm going to expect in return those things that I am giving out, right? So I am not capable of giving everything that people expect. It's like when you're going to date, you need to have certain values that you have in your hands that you're going to give to that person. A woman most times would expect, if I am to start dating, well, currently I'm not dating, I'm not looking at entering that market at the moment because I'm trying to sort out my values and the things that give me that kind of
trying to understand yourself.
Exactly,
right.
That's where I am currently. So I'm not giving myself to a lot of distractions, to a lot of spaces, to a lot of things. I'm not.
Is dating some sense of distraction, in your opinion?
Well, depending on where I am, yes. Okay. Where I am currently, I don't speak for everybody, but where I am, it's kind of like a distraction. It's not something that I have cancelled off the list.
Yeah,
it has to come eventually because one of my values is I want to have a family, something like that. So when the time comes, I know I will feel it that it's right for me to actually do this.
I like it when you say you will feel it. Most of the right time. It's like when you speak of respect. What do you mean by that? By I'm now looking out for respect. Yeah. Is it some sense of cultural respect that you want to be, to uphold the values of the patriarchy and be like, I am the man, and I'm the head of the family and things like that, is it some sense of someone understanding and connecting with you, with your mind, and helping you give life to like your ideas, and some sense of belief, like I need you to like help me understand what you mean by respect, from like this is what I'm looking for. It's also like, to me, one of the things I look out for is companionship. Like for anyone, I was actually talking to my ex, so I was telling her I do not care about anything else. So I was talking to her about superiority complex and what was happening in our past relationship. Like I told her, she prioritized so many simple things, like, yo, this is my house, these are my bills, it's me spending more. Than told her we had literally dated for 4 months. Yeah. What we're looking for is companionship. Life teaches you every day that everything is gradual. There's a process to everything. So sure. If you cannot get that with someone, it's like people who want to only pray to God when they are into like some sense of danger, and then expect like God to react in like a week. Like, hey, I need money for a date next weekend, so by this weekend, find a way of putting 500k around my space. So what does respect mean to you?
Respect for me is simply being listened to. Yeah? This world is so busy. It's so busy. Yeah. And someone who to come across someone who just listens. Even personally, I find myself in spaces where I'm not listening to people, because I have this huge kind of like drive where I want to do something, and sometimes, not just sometimes, most times I am just not listening to the needs of other people. So being listened to is not just what you say, a set of your actions, a set of how you perform your tasks,
Okay.
Yeah, how you perform your tasks. When you wake up in the morning, what do you do?
Your routine,
Yeah, your routine, That is exactly. Like, I have always found it in a place where, let's say you have set your day, you have planned everything to do, and then I just barge in, I'm like, I would like to have a big conversation. I'm not on schedule, we didn't communicate, that's disrespectful, that's not listening to you. It's quite, comes off as that, Yeah, so it comes a lot with seeing what is coming. So when we talk of companionship, it comes with a lot of listening as well. And that's where companionship only happens when two people are on the same wavelength, right? So let's say I am today. There was this time, I like having conversations with people, just sitting around, find out what stage of life they're in. Because I'm trying to, compare how I'm thinking versus how other people are probably thinking, to just try and realign. So I'm having a conversation with this girl, and I ask her how her relationship is with her parents. Like, how is your relationship with your parents? Just to see where she's at. She's like, how do you treat them? She's like, for me, my parents are my everything. I want to do my life in a way that gives back everything to them. And in my head, I didn't want to like judge or anything, but it's a normal human mind. For me, just comparing what she is saying to what I believe is probably right is like, okay, for my current stage of life and thought process, right? I wouldn't think that is one thing I aspire to, Like, I'm not saying it's not good to live your life and impress the people who have given so much for supported your growth and stuff like that, But I felt like such a stage is something that would affect my life. I mean, what if I decided that this is the girl I'm going to date, and probably I plan to settle with her? That means if that is entirely what her life and her mindset, the kind of mindset she's cultivating, she's not going to respect me. Because that means most of the decisions she's going to make, she's going to do it with approval from her parents and stuff. But that is some of the things that I would probably go against. So I would see that and I'm like, I think there's some bit of a step here, which is which is not a go area for me. I wouldn't really like to treat. But that is just one of the many. We are not perfect human beings, right?
Definitely.
I wouldn't like to put up a set, but it's just me trying to realign or align my thought processes where I am currently. It's like the books I am reading right now, the movies I'm watching right now, I'm not doing them out of just pleasure and what and stuff like I want to enjoy and feel good. I'm not trying to do them in terms of where I am in my vision. If when I notice that I'm not so good at financial planning,
Yes.
I'm going to watch movies that, tell me stuff about money and financial planning. I'm going to read books, because that is my current stage in life.
Yeah.
That is the kind of stuff that I'm facing. Yeah. So if it's about maybe social networking, those are the things I'm going to go to. I'm going to attend to media pages that are like, assuming I'm on social media and stuff. I'm going to.
Have you quit social media?
For now. I am taking a break for it.
A break?
I am just on WhatsApp.
Most of the times we meet, you're always taking a break from social media.
Yeah.
I like that about you, that you constantly take these breaks. So as I was going to tell you about... you were talking about... Oh, I'm trying that on my head. What were you talking about before social media? Before you...
I think like a vision. We were trying to get out what a vision means.
Yes, but specifically, you are...
I was talking about respect. We were talking about what respect means to me.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So the last point you raised
was just me in my current state of life.
Exactly.
The things I am doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically saying the things I am doing currently are the things that I'm trying to find out in terms of support for my current, so my current actions, the current decisions I'm making, I'm making them based on what is going to have an effect on my life positively. Yeah. Of course, you can never have 100% a positive effect. Of course, knowing as well what the consequences of those decisions are.
Yeah.
Knowing how much time. So the things we value, is it time? Is it money? Is it friendships? Is it your health? Because that has to be a priority, right? So if I'm writing a vision, I need to put those in order of where I'm going to put in more energy. Yeah. At what time I'm going to put in more energy, with who and how, and it's just basically resources. We have all the resources around us. So how I align those with how I am living right now, it's what I'm basically doing. Yeah. Shooting far. There's this person, I think, who made a quote one time, and I actually heard it from one of the people who I look forward to, and they were like, it's okay to dream, having a dream. Dream as big as you can, like dream as much, make your vision or whatever you have in your mind as much as, but don't stay dreaming. Step away from that and come back to now, right? Come back to the now and start thinking of what possibilities, what possible steps.
How do you live in the now?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was telling you. My set of actions, my decisions I'm making right now are based on what is affecting my life. So if I'm watching a movie, it won't be for the pleasure. It's easy to jump into the pleasurable part of life as a human being, but is it just the pleasures? Is it just the distractions, the things that take away your time? Like right now, I need my time. It's one of my values, right? I need them because I understand that there's something that I need to do to make me achieve my dream. So if I'm giving it away to cheap pleasures and what and stuff like that, is it really going to do an effect, have a positive effect on me? No. So I am going to make choices. Yes, I still need the movies, I still need the friends, I still need the free time, but I have to be doing the ones that are going to have a positive effect.
So for me, actually, speaking of movies, and this is a point I wanted to make, I've finally remembered. I now only watch movies because I have to watch most of the movies. One, because I'm into now making movies, so I am into like understanding its purpose. There's a purpose for me to watch a movie.
Yeah, sure.
I want to know the color, the camera angles, to see the director's vision, to read into it, like how did these guys really pull this off? Yeah, it's now part of my life that I have to watch the movies. It's been fun to go and compare DC and Marvel, but now the comparison makes sense because it's kind of like that dream you're also chasing. Yeah.
So it's positively affecting your life, right? So you see, when you're doing something with a purpose, always attach. I think it's key to attach a purpose to whatever your choices are. Attach a certain kind of purpose to it. I mean, that's how you feel good. That's how you start something that you love. You know, you find that most times, even the adventures that I've tried most of my life, very many times I'm very like I am just seated there and I'm wasting time. I'm taking my time. I am wasting time because my mind is telling me, no, you don't have this and this. It's trying to bring up all sorts of ideas so that I stay comfortable. You get? I procrastinate and stuff like that. But every time that I stepped into that space and started doing something, so many things come to my mind and so many processes and ideas usually come. So you don't need motivation to do like the things you love, you know. Don't ever let someone tell you if you love it then you do it. Like you need to, motivation comes automatically. Motivation usually finds you along the way, and most of the times the mind is usually trying to keep you procrastinating because it makes you feel good, right? You feel like, oh, so this is kawa. It's going to give you the slightest thing, like, no, don't drink this water because it's probably the cup is, you know, dirty or stuff like that, or don't go there because whatever reason it can give you to just keep you doing whatever it wants you to do. But you know, very many times that I have stepped up or stepped away and not listened to that sweet talk by the mind, and I've actually gotten myself in these spaces. That's when I'm like, wow, okay, so you know, the motivation is there. You're actually doing things, so I am actually doing things, and I'm like, okay, so this is cool, and I have that time to go on and stuff like that. Yeah. So for me, growth has been, it's one of the things that I have now decided to choose for my life, to grow, right? To just grow. And growth now I totally realize I totally realize why so many people would rather sit back and procrastinate and look for spaces that make them enjoy themselves than choose growth, because growth requires an enormous amount of energy. It requires pain, you know?
What kind of words describe the culture you're trying to build?
Oh, if I'm to just describe the kind of culture, I want for me, I am really community based. I really think everything that we are trying to achieve, whatever I want to see, I see a community that really tries to work together. I think the community that I've grown up in so much, there's a lot of individualism. Yeah? And the individualism is a good thing, because not individualism, but individuality, right? It's a good thing, but you know, that is a stage in growth itself. Yeah? Growth starts from dependence. When you're younger, you depend on your parents for support, provision, emotional care, and all that kind of stuff. But now, where the problem is where you have to shift from dependence to independence. Now, I believe our community has failed to have that kind of transition. There are so many factors where from dependence to independence. Yeah? Why? Because a lot of attachment, most of our relationships are based on attachment. So my vision is to try and create a kind of relationship based on those values that I told you that I have shared earlier, right? Values based on listening and, you know, good health and family and community, right? Just push it out for other people to understand. But I feel like the transition from dependence to independence has been where we have failed as a community, right? There's a lot of...
How do you suggest, what solution do you have for that transition? Like, how smooth can it be made? Like, what can we do as community, as culture? Like, what can we do to change? In the education, of course, could be in how we... Or what are you going to do as you to at least see that for your generation and those coming behind you, it's smooth?
Mine would be sustainable living, yeah? Sustainable livelihood. Simply put, yeah? Because I believe my purpose, I'll just give you a generic
Yeah.
purpose and vision. I believe my generic purpose is to become the best version of myself, right? That's general. And my vision is to improve the standards of life for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah? So if I can grow into the many aspects of my life that I can, then I'm sure I will be able to share that with other people, and I'm certain it will be able to improve the qualities of the people, of the lives of the people who I share spaces with, right? I don't know, maybe I could change the entire world, but my focus right now is if I can do that for myself right now, right? Because what you give is what you get, right? If I can do that for myself, then I start giving that. Probably that is what will happen. It's not a joyride. The problem is every time you tell people you want to give them the best and you do all these good things for them, there's usually a rise in expectations, and people try to change that and attach it to how they believe receiving is, being given is, yeah? So it still takes me back to that place where I feel, how would one describe what success and wealth is to them? Because that is going to determine the entire thought process. It's going to determine what you decide to do, what your actions are. So if I want to give the best version of myself to other people, or if I decide to give, yeah, that other person who is receiving has to also receive in terms of how they understand their receiving end is supposed to feel like. Yeah? So if people think giving is basically money, then I don't think that's, I mean, it's an aspect of giving, right? It's not solely it. But what you choose to have as success, or to define as success to you, is what is going to determine what you receive.
What do you define as success?
Yeah. I wouldn't like to define success. I would just, there's usually this question of success and poverty. But
can you be successful while poor?
Still depends on how you define success. But I would define for poverty. I simply think poverty is a lack of solutions. Yeah? I simply think poverty is a lack of solutions. Let's have this scenario. I have a huge dream I want to achieve. Do you know, very many times, if I have too many thoughts without planning my actions, I'm going to be paralyzed. The more you think so much about where you want to go, and this is something that affects most of our community members. I myself have been in that same place. Now, I'm going to think about where I want to go. Let's say I want to drive a car. Instead of saying, okay, I want to drive a car, now let me come back to where I am currently and think, what can I do to make sure that, I have to drive a car, do I have a small business? What kind of business am I doing? What kind of amount of money is it bringing? Stuff like that. Just breaking them into steps that you can move one at a time until you can actually afford to enter a car, right?
Yeah.
But very many times, we waste a lot of time thinking about, if I'm driving a car, then you start expanding it. Now I'm going to take my girlfriend every day out. I'm going to have a family, and I'll do this and this with the car. You get it? You're expanding. It's good. Yeah, it's good that you want to drive a car, but you're going to spend so much time thinking about, widening. That is good, to always visit that dream once in a while to expand on those, what you're going to use with the car. But if I want a car right now and I look at it as a vision, it is only wise to jump back and see how to break down that knowledge. That is how wisdom comes. It's just how you have the knowledge and then how you apply it. Wisdom is just how you apply it. It's practical, right? So I am an enthusiast of practical living.
Yeah. What's your working style?
My working style? What do you mean, what is my working style like?
So when you say you're an enthusiast of practical living, so what's your style like? Like, how do you, what do you mean you're practical in?
Yeah, practicality is just seeing something done in a physical state, right? Humanity or human life is a life based on honor, celebrating milestones in life and stuff like that. All those are practical, right? We have seen, I don't know what the white people do with with that stuff, but they are a pure example of practical lives or practical living and stuff like that.
How so?
Talk about why was what's that thing with in New York with a torch, the Statue of Liberty, right?
The Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. It reminds them of something, right? It's something. It's something that would. I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe if I have to read about it, I would know, right? Yeah, but the Statue of Liberty was something. It was honoring something, but they made it to honor something or remind them of something.
Is a colossal neoclassical sculpture on Liberty Island in New York, harbor in New York City, in the United States. The Cooper statue, a gift from the people of France to the people of the United States, was designed by French sculptor Frederic Auguste Bartholdi, and its metal framework was built by Gustavo Eiffel. The statue was dedicated on October 28th in 1996. The statue is a figure of Libertas, a robed Roman liberty goddess. She holds a torch above her head with her right hand, and in her left hand carries a tabular enceinte inscribed that date the U.S. Declaration of Independence. A broken shackle and a chain lie at her feet as she walks forward, commemorating the recent national abolition of slavery.
So that last part, I think,
after its dedication, the statue became an icon of freedom in the United States, seen as a symbol of welcome to immigrants arriving by the sea.
So that last part is where the purpose, the measure,
the commemorating of the recent national abolition of slavery. It's a figure of libertas. So, yeah.
But you see, a figure of liberty, it just shows you how practical it is in reminding people about where they came from and where they expect to go or where they are going, yeah?
Yeah.
And for me, I believe that is what life is all about, You have to find where you are and where you're going, and then in between there, what you are doing to make sure that you're actually going. Now, very many of why I believe our communities are failing is because we focus so much on what has already happened in the past. We are so attached to it. We fear to move on from what has already happened. Yeah. So we make most of our decisions for the future based on what has already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of just holding it as a reminder. Yeah. There's the Nelson Mandela statue somewhere in Joburg. I believe so. It's a reminder. It's not like they want to go back to that kind of place. Yeah. They won't ever go back to that place of apartheid and whatever. But they have that because he's a man who practically stood for.
So what you're saying is we cling so much to history, yet we shouldn't.
Yeah, yet it is okay. History is good to be there, yeah? But how we are so attached to
But you're saying it's not relevant in engineering the current day.
Yeah, it's not that relevant.
Okay.
It's supposed to serve as a reminder of what you've already grown from.
As listening to Kanye West, and he puts up that argument on why history is why we are facing all these issues of Black Lives Matter, and how, of course, he's talking about the Jews using the same methods of like the past, and they have to do things from the past, and then we have to pay for them in current day, yet we shouldn't.
Exactly.
Like
And yet people, and we will call other people visionaries, people who are thinking ahead of time. Yeah. So you'll find that the majority of people are just projecting fears. Why? Because they're using history in a wrong way. History is supposed to remind us to set standards of where we are going. You get? To say we are never ever going to go back to places of either it's pain or, you get?
Yeah.
It's supposed to remind us of what the good times were and what the bad times were. That is what history is about. So we can choose to pick our points from there for us to go forward, right? That's what it's about. But very many people are using it so much in projecting fears and stuff like that. It's like me. I remember a time in my life when I was partying too much and drinking too much and stuff like that. Yeah. So you find,
is that a bad or good thing? Of course, excessive consumption of anything, let it be reading, let it be social media, let it be just the internet, is bad and
has
harmful
its
to you.
consequences.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I don't like putting an ultimate
Judgment
tag.
on
Yes,
yeah,
tag on
bad,
something that
yeah.
this is bad, this is good.
Yeah,
You know, I feel like it makes me live like an extremist.
yeah.
When I started realizing that there's actually a silver lining in everything, everything. I got diagnosed with OCD. Yeah, this is something that, like, I mean, it's important for you to know which kind of person you are. Yeah, so I got diagnosed with obsessive compulsive,
Disorder.
disorder and stuff like that. And then I went, and then I was just.
Which one is that? Let me just, just about. I am not. What happens when you have OCD?
You obsess over certain kind of stuff. You tend to be, well, it's a common thing with very many artists or people who look at life in a perfect way. So you can become too aggressive. You obsess over a certain kind of outcome, and all those kind of things. Yeah. So it takes so many risks in like doing so many different things. Yeah. You don't really care about the outcome.
You're about the creation, really.
About that. And to be honest, everyone else is going to tell you how that is a terrible thing. Yeah. When you hear, okay, you have this. First of all, it's a lifelong kind of. Would I call it a syndrome, disease? It's like how people are going to. Maybe we'll have to talk about mental health and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's and the aspect of mental health is just how people use their own fears and project on you so that they hold you. Yeah, it's like history. Like, I've had a history with this, so I'm going to hold you captive to my fear. I'm like, no, don't go and do that. But there's actually usually a silver line in anything that very many people don't realize. So they'll use their fears and project that on you. Then you're kind of going to have a huge decision to make. Whether it's a positive one, the positive decision is going to be very hard for you to make. So when that came, at first I was shocked. I was like, man, I'm scared, man, this would be a bad thing. Am I going to have to fight? Then when I saw that, it's a lifelong disorder, I'm like, wait, am I going to fight this thing for my entire life? And yet I know there are actually, there are good things that I can do. So should I focus on my strength and actually achieve what I want to achieve, or should I fight off the parts where people say, that thing is wrong, it's going to take. So I got to read through all the effects of that, and then I saw someone with a syndrome like that or a disorder like that is actually a risk taker, and I'm like, wait, this is probably where my silver lining is, like I looked at it and I'm like, but life itself is a risk. Every day we risk,
Every single day, yeah.
Every time you open, even sleeping in your own bed, you don't know your pillow can, I don't mean to scare anyone, yeah, but life is a risk, like every day, yeah. It's everything we do is a risk. I don't know what happens. A drop of water.
You don't know how much you can trust the customer you have or anything. Anything can.
You get right.
The borderman that's taking you, who
exactly.
You're taking so many risks with your life in very many ways. Sometimes you can actually really understand that I'm taking the risks. Sometimes you cannot understand that you're taking the risks. But
true. And what's the best part about that? It's just, what silver lining can you pick? And it's an attitude and it's a kind of mindset that I'm trying to cultivate currently in my life, right?
Yeah.
I realized that my entire life growing up, I've been fighting other people's fears, people telling you what not to do. When you become an adult, when you reach that point where you're an adult, now that stage of, there's 3 stages of growth in life. There's the dependence, independence, then the interdependence. Now, independence is the trickiest part of human life, and that means you've become an adult. Yeah, I've ever seen a scenario where let's say you've come from a family that didn't have so much money. Like didn't have, they struggled with meeting their needs and stuff like that, and then you're like the first person to go to university and find a job. And the moment you get a job and you're earning some salary, that's when they start dropping in. Oh, your brothers and sisters, your cousins and nephews, your house and stuff, you need to start taking care of those bills, yeah?
Yeah.
It's because we didn't prepare, such a person is not prepared from independence. That transition from dependence to independence is where our entire lives could be. Success and wealth comes at interdependence. Yeah, that is where it comes. Because interdependence, that's where there's social capital, there's networking, yeah, and that is where wealth is. Yeah, a lot of these things we read on the media that, oh, this is a wealthy billionaire and stuff, yeah, it is just what they have in assets. Their estimates in assets and what and stuff, but what you have in cash,
Yeah.
is usually less, like really much less, and what they're allowed to have in the bank is very little of that money.
But they still have the money.
Yeah, but they still have the money. That is, so Kanye West, I don't know, it's the biggest news currently.
Yeah.
Because it's
Also the first richest black artist.
yeah, so it's closest to what we are all hearing currently, yeah? His net
A billionaire.
His net worth, a billionaire, from like...
But it dropped, yeah.
Yeah, by about, I think, 1.5 or something. It came from like 2
billion to
about,
400.
Yeah, 400 or 500 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you can see that is his net worth. But that guy didn't lose a dime of his cash like this that he has. It doesn't mean like, oh, Kanye West has become broke or something. It's just his worth on the market.
Okay.
His worth on the stock market is something that was
dropping.
affected. Yeah.
How do I
Something
build
that
my
we
worth on the stock market? Like, is it in the investments I've made? Because I've made quite a lot of investments right now. Okay, not like that a lot, of course, but is it in the investments? Is it in the fame you hold, in the influence? Like, is it structured influencing where, because Kanye West can fill up 20,000 people in a stadium?
That's where wealth starts from. Influence.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, you have to create a platform. You see this that you have right here is your platform of influence. Yeah. So everything we share here, let the people who are going to be listening are going to draw their own ideas on whatever we say. Right? Thank God it's not perfect or it's not the ideal stuff, but they're going to pick anything that you can nod your head to like this is something you relate to, because it picks a certain part of you and you relate with it. So net worth is basically the quality of your investments. Let's say I go and sell a very good idea to, let's say, Sheraton, because right now I know the stage in life I'm in. I'm like, my needs are catered for, right? I have enough money to cater for my needs, to pay for my bills, to make me go for, let's say, a vacation once in a year to a different country and stuff like that. Like, I need to put down my life down to the real basics, right? That I know that quality cannot be changed, cannot be affected by anything, right? So let's say, okay, I know my needs: clothing, food, where to sleep, clean water, and and
Basic life needs.
Basic life.
Shelter.
Yeah.
Food.
Right now you can add internet to it. And,
because you need access to information.
So you can add internet. You can add, clean water and all that other stuff. Good food and stuff like that.
Stuff the government is supposed to provide for free.
Exactly. To improve the standards of living of people. Actually, we don't have a system. We don't have a good. That's why a lot of people are finding it really hard to
when you say system.
I would talk. A system is basically something that it's like support, right?
Okay.
And it is actually supposed to be mandatory for our leaders, people who hold bigger positions.
Positions of power.
Yeah, people have positions of power and decision making, right? I think that's where power comes in and stuff. So people who hold those positions of power are supposed to create a system that supports, that saves people time, or enables them to do stuff in a quicker and more efficient way. Like, they have to create a system that makes you and I effective in performing our tasks. You get? Yeah. So there are so many things there. There's the transport system. There's the access to resources. You get? Let's say if we wanted raw materials or something for this, we know where to get it. Like, that information should be available to people. You get? Let's say farmers, let's say if there was a district very good for coffee farming around, like we know it's around the east, right? Bali and stuff, and maybe other mountainous areas, right? If that is the place where resources are, they make people that information available to everyone and stuff. If we know that the other kind of farming, which is like cattle growing, it's basically in the West. If we know that engineers and whoever the kind of people come from places like the North because they're good at, people as say they are good at math, then we have to create resources and industries that are strong there. Yeah, I would feel if Centro is good at law and what and stuff like that, we would have more law firms, more business institutions, like leadership institutions around the Centro. If it was stuff about farming and what and cattle rearing and what, those would, a lot of those institutions and brands and what should have patents and rights coming from, the places where there's easy access to those resources. Yeah. If we are building like a university, I would think instead of creating one university where everyone comes from the different parts of the country, we'd rather create faculties and whatever in the places where we think those strengths are. So medicine faculty, you go that side, yeah, you go to the west, engineering or whatever, architecture, construction, you put the faculty in the north. Law, business, what, you put that here. Subsistence, whatever it is, you put a place. First of all, it would create diversity. That
would reduce traffic.
Yeah, it would reduce traffic. It would cause diversity. Someone knows that when I finish my school, wherever I am, whether in my hometown or wherever, I am not going to stay here forever. I need to go somewhere. I'm going to get cultured. I'm going to learn different things. It would start creating that place where relationships. I mean, I'm a sucker for relationships, so I try as much as possible to create. Right now, I'm in that place, trying to create a good relationship with myself. Yeah, I'm not trying to force it on people or whatever. I'm doing that I'm creating my individuality. I'm trying to create personal boundaries, things that I didn't grow up, knowing, things that made it hard for me to transition from dependence to interdependence. Yeah, so that transition stage is what is affecting most of us, and yet we know we are supposed to be in an independence kind of space, so that we can transition into the interdependence. Interdependence is where there's wealth, and it's where there's success, and it's where there's community, and it's where there's social capital, a lot of it. But we are stuck between dependence and independence.
How much of school culture affects your decision making in your current day, in life now? Like, how much impact does your school, and this is like from the podcast we've just released today. I had Celine on the podcast, so she was talking about the difference between Cambridge schools or quote unquote international schools and then UNEV. So, but in there's also now like traditional schools and our cultures, yeah? Like, what it means to be Angonian to you, does that really have an impact in the grand scheme of life?
Yeah, it does. There's really a huge impact that school has done, but I am not 100% in support of our current school system.
Yeah, what also talking, you mentioned boarding school should be wiped off.
Exactly.
Now, for someone like me who has been boarding from P1, I don't know if, but again, I want to listen to you, then I'll put up the argument. I've read someone's book and it made a lot of sense to me. It's a chick, I forget the book title, she's Ugandan. She has written about why parents shouldn't take their children to boarding schools here, and why, like your same values and opinion on why they should be stripped off. But I want to hear from you. I want to understand why you think boarding schools shouldn't coexist within the schooling thing.
When COVID hit, COVID was like a wake-up moment for very many people in the world, including myself, yeah? It showed the importance of doing so many things, the importance of being around the people you love, the importance of savings. It highlighted so many things that as me, I'll talk about our space. Yeah, I don't know. It affected people differently because we are all at different levels of growth, to be honest. Yeah, but what showed with the school system is that there was a lot. At first people were only looking forward to when are they opening and we go back. When they realized that was a long shot away, that's when they stopped looking outside and they came back to their house and they're like, what should we do? Very many people started asking themselves the questions. Now we have family, people are like, okay, maybe the first question, I think this is a good time to work out. I think this is a good time to pick games and try to connect with your family members and, like so many things started coming out. So that alone, for a developing space like ours, made me realize one thing about boarding schools. It made me realize that stage of life about dependence. Yeah, it just brought the impact of it that we have been running away from so many years. You see, first things first, having a child. Yeah.
Okay.
Having a child. I'm not saying it's wrong that circumstances are different for everyone. Yeah?
Yes, definitely.
But personally, I believe having a child should come with a plan. Yeah?
That should be the bare minimum.
Yeah, it should be the bare minimum. I'm not saying people who have had kids out of there and stuff are wrong people or whatever, yeah? It happens.
They're going to hell.
Yeah, they're going to hell or they're wrong or I don't know, whatever it is that society usually calls.
Skip the manuscript of life.
Yeah, but it showed in a way that very many of the society or the people we hope to bring up we didn't really plan for them. You see, we didn't plan for life. Yeah, we haven't planned for the life ahead of us. We are so much delving in what we can get right now, and we forget about what is coming up as responsibility.
The future plan.
Yeah. So boarding school for me has stripped off that relationship. Yeah. That was supposed to be very, very profound when growing up. That relationship between parents and that dependence relationship, it was done in a wrong way. That when people grow up, the people who raised you become more attached to you, yeah, than actually saying, hey, let us free you. You see, a bird only learns to fly when the mother bird gets up and kicks it off the nest, right?
Yeah.
They don't wait and be like, oh, let's look at your wings and stuff like, yeah, I think you have strong wings now. I think your feathers are good enough. They just, I think their timing, they just feel it. They kick you out the nest and you're falling down.
Then you struggle.
Yeah, so you either flap those wings and fly up or you hit a rock and,
die.
You're dead. Yeah? So there's that part of really strong.
So there's a possibility of a bird losing its child if, let's say, something was wrong because it takes a risk on its own children.
A huge risk.
Okay.
There's a huge decision being made. Very many, I think, when we used to go to boarding school, I don't know if we see the look on our parents' faces or whatever, but I think there were usually mixed reactions, right? There are some parents who are extremely happy. There are those who are sad that they'll have to deal without their child for quite some time, yeah? But
were parents really happy about it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just saying
because again, the argument around boarding school is not just to break that bondage of parenting, yeah? Like I understand where that comes from, but also know that in the reality of the world we live in, yeah? Not to skip what's between just our eyes is people trade a lot of their time to survive. Yeah, they have to trade their time to companies, to organizations, and whatnot, to jobs, and to whatever they're going to. They trade their time for money in whatever aspect. So, parents have to work around how to love their children. minus giving them a lot of time, like we have been made to believe. You know, we get a lot of stuff from the movies we watch. We look at perfect parenting as maybe your dad being around the whole time. But when you look at it at the grand scale, it's not easy. Even if you had all the time, even if there's a rich guy, he'll still not have the time to, like, the time you have with your children. You a friend of mine, Richard, said you have to be a father to your children. You cannot be a friend to your children. Like, you have to be a parent. You are a parent, not a friend. Like, most cases, that is the only way it can work. Like, you're not going to... The times you see parents who play, let's say, PlayStation with their children, it's mostly in movies.
True.
But it would happen, like randomly, maybe on a Christmas, happy day, your father would play Pasa with you. But what are the chances of that happening twice in a month? I do not know. Maybe it's just how I've seen myself grow up and the friends around me. But I see that the clinch to time spent is not convincing enough that is good parenting, because ideally it's hard for it to happen. Your father, for your parents to afford the bare minimum of life, the basics of life, the shelter, the food, and an education. By the way, minimal education, like you see people growing up, I used to think going to a traditional school will put you in society class rich, but it's not. I just realized that parents were the poorest. They were just really doing so much to make ends meet. They're probably just making much more sacrifices than the guy in a village. Yeah, it's just that he has taken so much away from his plate just to make this happen. Yeah, so there's that in how I feel about the time thing. Like, how is it? Like, how can it work for you? Because when you remove boarding, again, of course, boarding comes with so much. Like, you have to adopt to a different character everywhere, people from different societies, which is in turn a very good thing. So you learn to deal with all sorts of people, and you learn to know that people are different, and people have different agendas. People's mindsets are not on like the same channel. Like, you're going to find different people with different belief systems, and they're genuine about their belief systems.
True.
So there is that in our society could be a working formula. It probably makes you stronger, because it's really survival for the fittest. So when you look at it, it's almost like the majority of all of us are just trying to survive. There are really few people living, when you know that, well, it's like the statistics say, you're just one medical bill away from what? From going to extreme poverty. And when you look at it, it really actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And that only comes down to I would still insist, honestly.
No. Let's go back to your parenting. Like, for your idea of time, this is that's what I wanted to tell you.
Now, time is one aspect everyone needs. In time there's comfort. In time there's healing. In time there's now that kind of thing we see in movies. Having time to play or do the things you love, or learning how to fish with your dad, or I know those are just things that, of course, we have been sold to by the movies, right? But you see, that also comes because people decide to learn very many different skill sets. Learning is it's supposed to be a lifelong thing.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Do we ever stop learning? No, we don't.
No, you don't. And then,
unless you decide.
Exactly. And then real life learning actually happens after the school, that we think. Now, our school system made us learn things that were very irrelevant. It's like we lived oblivious of our lives, you get? Because we came out, and that's when we started looking around. We weren't taught practical things like math, how to calculate your, expenditures, and when you need, what you can invest in. Like, those are things that you have to come on and learn lifelong. Mental health, taking care of your mental health, that is something that you literally need to learn to be a counselor. Yeah? Not just for the people around you, for yourself. So that means you have to learn how your emotions, how you react to your emotions, how you respond to them. You get? Like, are you someone who is, if you know your triggers, they'll tell you, if you know your triggers, you know the things that anger you or what. I don't believe I hurt people. I believe we hurt ourselves. Why? Because we don't have certain skills that help us live our lives individually. Yeah. We don't have systems in place that will allow me to thrive. So it's easy for me to say, when you say something that I don't believe in, for me to get hurt. But you haven't hurt me. What people need to realize is that I am not responsible for hurting you, except if I've done it out of malice. If I intend to steal from you or whatever. But so many times we are doing things unconsciously and someone gets hurt. Why? Because they take it personal so fast.
Oh.
But to be honest, and me, I'll tell you, I am not responsible for hurting you. Why? Because you are supposed to be responsible to manage your emotions, to know your triggers as an adult. Now, these are things that I believe school is supposed to have started teaching kids when they're younger, how to manage themselves, how to relate with other people. You get? But you grew up learning.
How do you suppose they teach us that in school? How do you suppose they teach that to your children? Now that you, of course, Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so skill sets are vast. The movies will tell you what white people can do because they're developed, someone goes fishing as a form of therapy, someone goes to play soccer as a form of therapy, but with time you've seen that they grow with those and start monetizing them, they start getting money out of them. But they're doing things that they love, that they have started loving from a young age. Now, for us, we have grown up oblivious. You're learning about things and you're being beaten or punished if you don't perform highly over those things. Then you come out and it's like it's a new world out here. You don't know. Your entire life it starts feeling like a whole lie. Now you're starting business. I don't know how to deal with clients.
Yeah.
People management is a skill that people need to have. But you can only learn how to handle people when you know how to handle yourself, right? Because we are always supposed to be we are actually mirrors of each other. Yeah? So how I respond to you and the things you do is different. So our boarding school system has, it creates more of a closed mindset.
Okay.
Than an open mindset. An open mindset is the only kind of mindset where people grow and learn. If you have an open kind of mindset, if you cultivate a mindset that is open,
yes,
that's where you have opportunities to grow and learn. You don't
unlearn.
Yeah, and unlearn.
Exactly.
But if now the boarding school system is very fixed, the system is you already know you're going to learn math, English, whatever, and it's too much. Yeah, someone the other side is going to grow up and they're going to see him kicking a ball very well. They're like, this one deserves to be in an academy. They drag you there, and that is how you're going to start learning. They will learn what is basic. I have a friend.
Here is how that works. It goes back to institutions. Yeah, it's from like they say, a fish rots from the head, right? Once the top heads are spoiled, because the only way that would work when you spot your child playing football, you'd take them to an academy, because the academies here, they're quite affordable also. If you substitute how much it would cost to be an academy and to study P1 to P7, being an academy could really be cheaper, yeah? But when you go to an academy, there's very few chances that you're going to really make it in life. Your skill set, prioritizing your skill set of, let's say you're an artist or a soccer star or a player, yeah? Being good alone is not enough.
Yeah.
In this type of community. The resources are not there, the exposure is not there, there's so much, there's a curtail on who gets out, there's so much at play on basis of tribalism, on basis of technical know-who, and all these things.
So very competitive.
Exactly. It's like that just going to the academy is not enough for you to survive. So a parent does not take that risk of specializing on a skill to capitalize big on it. Rather, makes you a jack of all trades so that you can bite on every apple and survive, really. Yeah, because the system just teaches us to survive, not to prosper and be wealthy. Because if you are really learning to be a soccer star and just invest in school from childhood, or you're learning code from P1, by the time you're in S1, you're really good. Yeah, you're putting up programs. By the time you finish, you're down in campus, you can build a Facebook. You have the same intellect,
because you've basically
because it's your life. It's now in you're not just doing it to survive. Because by the time you leave campus, you're now looking, hey, I need to get married, you have black tax to pay, so you're only taking on jobs because of the paycheck, to meet all these bills and whatnot. So you're not doing things because of out of passion, really. Even if you have the passion, you still have to survive. You have to earn, to eat, to survive before anything else. And that's the challenge. The person out there, though, the kid you are talking about, for them, they have the luxury to test so
Not
many
just
things.
the luxury, but their systems have been actually set up to
Yeah, exactly.
to support that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, we don't have that a lot here. I think if we are to look at recreation, meaningful recreation, why I think international schools are better is because they're really multicultural. Yeah. The good thing about multicultural kind of spaces is that you get to learn how things are done away from what you it actually starts opening up your mind to very many diverse mindsets and systems and stuff like that. International schools are thriving because they engage people on very many different aspects of their own lives, the students and stuff. For us, we only had a class setting. The rest of it all was you either do it and no one is giving you the effort or the support that you need. It's like when you're in boarding school, just a normal boarding school. Let's say it's really normal for you. The common ones that we have, let's say it's a government boarding school. Are there boarding schools which are government owned?
Yeah, there should be.
Okay. Anyway, regardless, boarding school, I feel, gives us that closed kind of mindset.
But as compared to what? What other system? Like the day scholar?
Now,
the guy who comes back to see... Because one, your dad is going to probably be working overnight. Or they'll be at the bar drinking away the sorrows of the fact that the economy is hard and they have to run 7 jobs for them to put you in school. So when you come back, you're swapped into doing housework and going to sleep. And reading. So you do not still get time to bond with your parents ideally. Of course, you're going to be present on like Sunday when family get-togethers are and which you don't have access to. But it looks like, is that enough?
Well, life is really diverse.
Yeah.
And we'll really go back to the very beginning where I told you it's good to narrow down the things you can do to the bare minimum. I believe the really rich people live their life on a certain kind of constant variables, the things that they do consistently every day. There are things they do as a constant, regardless whether the money is a lot or the money is less, or you get it. As long as they have time to say, I have to paint on Thursday at this time, they can do that. I have to spend time with my kids on this day at this time.
You have to develop that discipline before you become rich.
You have to, and that is exactly how people get successful. It involves a lot of discipline, a lot of consistency.
Because to me, wealth is really a strategy and series of learned behavior and practices, like habits, the ones you choose to have. Because even rich men have bad habits. If we are saying, let's say, smoking is a bad habit, like we're being told from primary, all the rich men I know smoke in my world.
Very many.
So, but they just know how to manage their habits and how to work around them. Probably make more money to afford the consequences of the smoking and all that.
And they know the qualities. It's just, you get it, like they know why they're doing it. They know that if I do this and then in 2 days I know exactly how it's going to react. Like they know themselves so much. That is how wealthy people reach. That's how they live. That's how I believe they live. And I've actually studied a few of the people who may say, very many of us grew up in homes that had money, but people are not wealthy or rich. You can say I come from a family with so much money, but people there are not rich. Why? It comes down to their habits and how they spend their time and what they do with the people around them. The quality of the systems that they're committed to every day. That is what sets everyone apart. So when we go back to that argument of the Kanye West, whatever, because it's the most popular news kind of, right? It's among that. It's just that his market value is the one that dropped because people are doing away with brands, are doing away with his creative ideas, and you get it. But he didn't lose. It's not like they went to the bank and they took away $1.5 billion from him or something like that. He's not. No, but he's unaffected. He's still, I'm sure he's still able to go to the restaurants he goes to.
As a private
Yeah,
jet.
like he still has his things. You get it? Like all that are constant. So if we narrow down, like say now, me, if I decide to say I'm going to narrow down right now, I know that okay, I need this amount of money to do, certain things that I need to do. But for now, let me narrow down my life to the basics. I need to have constant transport. I need to have communication, airtime. I'll put it down to the basics, yeah? I need to have it every day. I don't need to find myself waking up in the middle of the night when there's an emergency and I don't have airtime. Yeah, but I need to prioritize the things that make my life run smoothly every day. I need to have good clothes. I need to know that I have transport. I need to know that I can eat at least 3 meals every day. Okay? So you set yourself to a certain standard. The problem with us is the moment that standard comes and then a lot of money comes, now you start changing. You get? If I used to eat from mama or whoever in my neighborhood and that's the lady I pay, and then I was only doing it because I feel like I don't have enough money to afford.
Usually you're only doing it because you don't have enough money,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, but a rich man will, regardless how much money comes, he knows that budget. You get, I want to jump from this step to the other one. Yeah? I can only treat myself to a good meal at Javas maybe once a month to celebrate a milestone. I don't have to do it every day because now I'm earning 1 million and I can live basically. Now I'm earning 3 or 5. Now I need to update. How are you going to even be healthy? How are you going to have time to do the things that you need to do? Yeah, consistently. Yeah, you're going to wake up early in the morning. There are people who are focused on saying, if I miss out my workout, I'm not going to feel good during the day.
Yeah,
like you get it. It's just the mindset. I don't care whether I make money as long as I am in a good mood today. I know I am moving towards my goals, the things I have set for myself. You get? So they prioritize mental health, not just theirs, but the people around them, right? I'm sharing that to the people around me. So entirely, that's the kind of stage that I'm in right now, trying to say, hey, you know what? Can I prioritize a relationship with myself? Do I need to know? I need to know what I give out to people currently, you get?
Yeah.
Am I going to be earning and then I'm going to go on the street and there's a beggar and I'm like, oh, you need this money, or I need to start getting money and start giving it out to my nephews and nieces because now I'm making money. I haven't yet achieved certain goals that I've set for myself, knowing that if I want to date, maybe I need to be already in a house that is my own, or you get, or at least I'm paying rent worth this amount of money per month, and I know the standards of living before I welcome someone else into my life. The standards of living that I'm at right now is actually able to afford or accommodate another person, right? So it's supposed to be value addition. So everyone you add into your life, based on the relationship you create for yourself, it's just supposed to be value addition.
How do you tend to react to stress?
Well, I am an artist.
Okay.
I've found out one of the biggest. I tend to withdraw from people a lot every time I'm stressed. But then I'll go and paint. I'll go and make a painting. I'll go and make a drawing. Yeah, I have been doing this with a colleague. One good thing about it is that stress is no longer that one thing that I fear. It has to come. It's an everyday part of life. You get? If you're someone with an ambition or you're somebody who's working towards a goal, you should know that not everything is going to come easy for you, right? But accepting stress is one thing, managing it is the other. How many times do you accept that you can't change something and then still go forward and do the things that you can change, right? Yeah. So it's basically like, you're going to get stressed now. I mean, it's okay. It's part of life. There is no one who is free from stress. People are so, everyone is. But how do you manage it? How do you deal with it? Does it motivate you? Or does it keep you down the road? So you have to ask yourself the right questions. Because no one is ever going to avoid problems.
Yeah.
That's why now there's a difference between the poor and the rich. The poor people are focusing on their problems, how they can get away from it. The rich people are just focusing on how do you live with what you've already been given. Because God has dealt everyone a certain kind of problem. You get? Yeah. OCD, PTSD, whatever it is, all those are lifelong things. Are you going to spend your time fighting it out of the fears you hear from other people that, man, for you they can't deal with it because you have this kind of disease? you know? Or are you going to actually focus on what you can still give, yeah, while knowing that I can now manage whatever kind of bad situation I am already in, yeah? So it's basically how you deal with it.
Yeah.
Does it motivate you? Does it motivate you to do more? Does it ask you, what does your stress mean to you? Yeah? Does it mean, okay, every time it hits...
But someone has more power over me in that
over
time.
me.
Yeah.
Do I blame other people? Do I blame situations like, okay, this is why I am stressed? Or do I say, okay, now I'm stressed. What do I do to first manage it? Because I know if...
What do you do to manage your stress?
Yeah, I'll go paint because I know it calms me down. Then I get back to thinking rightfully, you know. Problem solving is a key that very many people need. So those are some of the life skills that I believe everyone should learn, right? Communication is another one, how to talk. I still haven't yet learned how to communicate effectively with people, but it's something that I'm in right now. And it involves a lot of things, awareness of your space, who you're talking to, are you listening? So there's so many things in there. When you decide to go deeper into the things that you need, you start realizing that there's so much that needs to be done. When you decide to grow, there's so much there. So for me, stress, that's what I do. When I paint, I kind of tend to forget, you know. It calms me down. I don't forget the problem. It doesn't go away, it doesn't solve it, but it calms me down. And the moment I'm calmed down, then that's when I can start thinking of what do I need to do to actually tackle the problem. Yeah, because that's what happens when stress comes. It's like a mix-up of processes. Yeah, like things haven't come how you expected them to come. They have come in different ways. So it's just calm down, see what has come, try to realign it with where you are going. Where do you need to put it? Do you need to keep it or do you need to throw it away? You know, like, or do you need to give it some? So there is no one definite or defined step to, let's say, success and let's say wealth, but it's really down to your priorities and the things that keep you moving.
True.
Yeah, it's really down to what you think your space is, what will make your space secure, what will make your space full of the things you desire, love or whatever, peace. You get what makes... So you're always working outside and tirelessly to protect that kind of space that you are creating for yourself. And for me, that's what I think wealth is about. So what your space entails, we are fighting for. That what you're fighting for, or yeah. And simply that's how I think it's generic, very generic that I've really given that. But I'm still working on my communication. I'm still working on a lot of things.
Yeah.
That I know with time I'll be able to.
Now, in this, like how we have grown up to this stage, I believe we definitely have to be in like the same age bracket. Clearly, almost the same age.
We were in the same class.
Yeah, we were in the same class. So, when do you start to begin that? When do you start to notice that your life begins here? Some sense of purpose, like now this is what you define as your life. Or have you reached to that level?
Yeah, I feel like I've reached it.
Okay.
And the only way I've reached it is giving myself responsibility. Yeah?
What do you mean giving yourself? What does that look like? When you say giving yourself responsibility?
It's out of the actions you create to achieve the goals you want. You know, a goal can be, I want to move into my own house by this time. I want to eat this kind of food, or be with these kinds of people around. Again, or it's basically knowing whatever stage of life you're, because that's going to be a huge part of your responsibility. The things that you do, the things that you're doing currently to achieve a goal is your responsibility. How you're living, yeah. So for me, giving myself responsibility has been. Wait, what was the question again?
When do you notice that life begins for you?
Oh, yeah, beginning of life. So I think, first of all, knowing that you're an adult and there's a expectation of you. I think the major purpose of coming onto earth is to create family that is, all those things that we are seeing. Every dream of a man is to have a family. A family I really believe it's there.
I've met a lot of people that genuinely think that they shouldn't let anyone suffer because they believe.
Thank you.
A big part of their life.
I have that.
Is about suffering.
Yeah, I have that because I actually tell myself I don't want to ever bring a child onto this kid to go through the same kind of. You get it? But I also believe
when you say the same kind of, isn't that an insult to your parents?
No.
Are you saying that
suffering? No, my parents are not superheroes or whatever. You get? They're not always there in time to save us. But that's where adulthood now comes in. You get? You need to realize that now I'm taking on this mantle, whether you're given the mantle or not. But the moment you realize you're an adult, you have to start giving yourself responsibility towards the thing you want. Yeah. I am not going to stay. Yes, I've had very many thoughts or moments where I'm like, I have suffered. But if I go back to realizing why I suffer, it's because first of all, I'm not being so much responsible for myself. You get? I have been in a stage where I complain, I blame. You see, I would say, oh, my parents are wrong. They're the ones who are doing this kind of stuff. Yes, they have their parts. They're never going to do 100% right
by you.
You get it? They also have their own struggles. You get? So that moment I reached and I decided that I'm not going to blame anyone because I know right now I have reached adulthood. You get? And I have a set of things that I want to see happen in my life. So whoever has been a part of my life, if they haven't given me something or whatever, that was down to them. I'm sure they did their best. They did the best of their knowledge. That is how they handled me. Yeah, I used to have that place where I used to feel like, man, this was trash as parenting. Why would they do stuff like this? Why didn't they support me more? Why didn't they, invest in me more and, give me all these aspects of life and what? Well, whatever it is, whether they did it intentionally or you get it, that's now none of my problem.
Yeah.
Now it's my responsibility to see where I am supposed to go. Yeah?
And how you get there.
And how I get there. It is now because I've reached adulthood. When it was dependence, you have all the right. I mean, you become an entitled human being. Every human being becomes entitled throughout. But you cannot be entitled throughout your entire life. That means you'll never grow. You'll never you never bring out your capabilities and stuff like that. You'll never grow again. So that stage has to stop at dependence. But when independence comes, you have to create individuality. How you do things, you set up personal boundaries, and your set of actions. What wealth means to you? Is it good health? Is it friendships? Is it you get it? Like the things that make you feel like you are alive. Do those things. Yeah, so that is when adulthood comes, and that is independence. So that you have something to protect for yourself and then the people whom you're planning to welcome into your life. So yes, I used to feel like, man, I cannot bring another child into this world to suffer. But how
another child?
Yeah, because I was once a child.
Okay,
so
okay.
I would say another
makes
child.
sense. I thought you have a child. I do not know.
I'm here too. Yeah,
right.
But I know that that time for decision making is going to come. Yeah. But right now, it's just that how I am living with myself, how I'm creating that relationship with myself. So the wealth now comes because you cannot reach interdependence if you don't have children, if you don't have family, if you don't have a community, if you don't have other people. That is what interdependence depends on.
Where's your mind space at mentally?
Mentally, it's just.
And where do you need it to be? Like for anyone listening, like for you. In terms of protecting your mind space, what are you doing?
I'm a bit selfish right now.
Okay.
Not in a way, not in like a bad way for other people, but just like I said, I am doing things right now for myself. I'm very protective of my ideas. Yeah, I'm very protective of who I tell what is private to me. Yeah, I'm just trying to be a bit too keen. People are trying to say, why are you being so separated, or why are you drawing? It's like people have started noticing that I'm doing a lot of things by myself. and they were not used to that. But I understand them, because human nature is we need to relate and stuff like that. But I've realized that, wait, when I was growing up, I used to tell people almost everything, and almost every time I used not to see it come the way it was supposed to be. But when I started doing things based on the right plan and the people I talk to, who I tell whatever, they are actually, I'm able to notice where the leakages are, where you get, like if I told you something, then I find it with someone else, I will know that, okay, I trusted one person with this. So there's no other way. You get? Those days, when you're young, you're excited and happy and you speak almost everything. And we were raised with that space of, you have to tell us what is going on in your life. You have to be accountable to us. But now if you're going into independence, you have to first start being accountable to yourself. You need to know exactly where your energy is going. Yeah? And that is key. So if I am sharing information, I know exactly what information I'm sharing, why I'm sharing, because I have reached a certain level of trust with myself. So right now, I am a bit just quite selfish because I'm trying to know myself. There's that whole teaching of you have to give. I know it was possible, but it only creates like a lot of fear, If you don't know what you're giving, then why are you giving? You're only losing, yeah? Like if I have to give all the time because I have to be, you end up being a people pleaser. You end up being a nice person to people.
Yeah.
And then people will tell you that's the way to be, but then you're going to go back to your house and you're going to be sad and you're going to feel like you've lost, I was told by another artist, and I was like, what is the use? What is the use of being an artist if you're a cooperative person? You don't have to be cooperative. Why? Because you also have ideas, yeah? Like,
well, you want to see them to life.
Exactly. And you have a vision, right?
Yeah.
So why should I be cooperative? And very many contemporary artists, people will have to love you for who you have become than who they have made you. Because they will never love you. If I told you something to do, I'd be like, see, I'm the one who told you because I deserve now the credit, right? I told you to do that, so now you're doing it and you're thriving. I deserve some credit. I'm going to come back, look at it like, yo, it was my idea. It's a human thing. Yeah. Whether it's the person who loves you the most who is next to you, so you have to be really careful. And they're like, no. And being uncooperative doesn't mean you're arrogant and you're fighting and you're hating people and calling them all sorts of names. No, it's just you saying, now I'm trying to learn what I want to give to people. And I want to know what time I'm going to give that to people. Yeah? I'm not going to start making money today. Like those days, you'll get a job and then tell people, oh, I got a job. So people start making now. He has got a job. Let's make a list. He has to give his nephews this and this, or he has to pay half of the tuition. You have barely, made something for yourself. So I believe there's a right stage for everything to come into people's lives. For me right now, it's really that. I am just quite selfish with who I am. I'm giving people a lot of no's, yeah? I'm telling people a lot of no's, like, no, I don't think it's worth it. We will talk, but I am more of myself. I'm just trying to gain that confidence to be myself again, yeah? Something I felt I had, but I didn't actually have.
You're realizing the power of no,
yeah,
and your own time.
Yeah.
Does this apply to turning down things that are money? Tell me about your decision to quit social media and the breaks. Okay, not to quit, to take these breaks constantly. Doesn't it affect, do you earn anything from social media? Because if you don't, then I would fully support to quit. If I was in a position where I didn't have to go to social media to post this podcast so that it gets numbers, so that in the future then we get people we can partner with. I have come to the conclusion that it's one of the greatest evils. I do not need to keep in anyone's business apart from my own. And the best way or the best tools that keep you in anyone else's business apart from your own unprovoked are social media platforms.
Sure.
Yeah, because of just how they are designed to work. They're designed, they trade attention basically. Yeah, the more you're scrolling, the more they're making money. That's what they sell to the advertisers, that we have all these eyes keeping up with the screens. So come on board. So, but for you, what is it like? what's with the breaks? What does social media mean to you? Why do you have to take breaks from it? Is it because everyone has free speech on there, and right now we have people like Elon Musk who are championing free speech by actually buying out the platforms and leaving everyone there to say what they have to say.
Yeah. Well, I think for me that's one of the reasons why I decided to first take a break. It's too loud in there. There's way too many opinions. But yeah, like you said, where I am right now, it's personal space, personal business, and getting to know who I am. And that decision comes because I realized that when I grew up based on the ideas of other people who are told what to do. Do this, don't do that. Do that, don't go there, don't go there. Or that's wrong, that's right. Yeah, we were taught at extremes. And now being on social media, when Facebook came and we had Facebook, it felt easier to. You remember when we joined Facebook around that time and almost everyone was on Facebook? We were almost talking about a common thing.
Yeah.
And most of it was about, guys, can we meet and hang out and stuff? It felt like we were on social media, but it felt like a closed kind of, you get? Because we were talking mostly to the people we knew. Or talking, you get? There was a huge sense of common kind of, But right now it's too loud. People wake up and literally talk about anything. Someone is complaining, someone is trying to give advice, someone is trying to draw attention on their sexuality. People are doing all sorts of things.
Everyone has their freedom and they're exercising that
Exactly.
freedom.
Everyone is exercising that. And then I'm like, wait. And yet I'm the one right now who is in a space of trying to discover who I am, and I'm trying to set my boundaries and my things. So if I am on there, isn't it just a distraction? Yeah? Am I not still going to keep listening to the same voices that I'm trying to avoid because I'm trying to find my own individuality? You get? And then what am I doing there? I am going back, but I'm only going back for the same reasons. I want to use it because I know the silver lining in it. You get? You can make money off social media, off the internet. Yeah? There is that. If you find a common group of people with ideas that are like yours, right? Yeah, I tried. First of all, Twitter is so loud. Yeah. Twitter is so loud, and Ugandan Twitter
it's set free.
Yeah, and Ugandan Twitter is so boring.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sex talk, and people are just. I don't know if people have not yet found out their. People are not yet decided what their sexuality is. Yeah, but there's a lot of attention seeking. Yeah, there's the politics, and then basically there's a lot of talk that right now, for me, I don't feel like it has. Yes, there are those things that there are pages or there are people who are talking about the things that I want to have in my life, right? But also there's a huge distraction with just a notification coming and someone is talking about, oh, what is this or what is that, and I feel like I've narrowed down my life to what I need.
The adrenaline of just seeing the notifications and keeping up.
It's a distraction. We no longer have focus. You can't focus.
That also says into how much and what people are consuming. People just want to consume bits of something, yeah? They want to read a headline, make noise about it, not go in depth. So the statements from long ago where they said, if you want to hide knowledge from... but then they were racist, they were saying from black people, put it in writing. But right now, anything longer, people don't want to associate. Yeah. However, though, not everyone is dead. The most successful podcast I know is Joe Rogan podcast. Another podcast.
What podcast?
Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh, yeah,
Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
So JRE has conversations that are up to like 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. The minimum of his conversations is 2 hours. But they have millions of people watching them.
Yeah, true.
He also has extensive power keeping people engaged. So, you will listen into what people are saying.
Yeah, sure.
But at least that maybe gives you hope. But when you look at content consumed here in Uganda, people want to consume 4-minute skits, sexual, funny,
a lot of
drama,
it is sexual and funny.
Yeah.
I can just tell you so much how we are a very sad generation. Yeah, let me even actually talk about that. I think
we're a sad generation.
I think we're a very sad generation.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it's a source of therapy. Doctors recommend, I think, 4 minutes of laughter a day or something like that, or more. Yeah. But I think we love to see other people more in pain, and I believe comedy is supposed to be relative. Things that I laugh at, it's supposed to be relative. Yeah, I'm not saying it's wrong to laugh at a funny situation if it's funny. Let's say macabre humor is there, like people humor that is like dark humor, right?
Yeah.
Dark humor is there. Humor made out of bad situations of life, right? Let's say there's a burial on a rainy day. It's just there's a burial happening. Yeah, someone is going to be put down a hole and guys are carrying, and maybe they slip off and coffin falls and stuff like that. You get it? There's usually that you laugh out of, yeah? But let's say that happens and then you start relating that to every other situation of your life. You make people feel like it's always bad, or you're laughing at someone else's pain. Yeah, always laughing. And I think that happens a lot in Uganda. I'm not blaming the population for laughing. Everyone has to laugh, yeah. But how far you go with it.
But also very hospitable people. Like we are generally.
Ugandans are nice people. I don't like nice people.
Okay.
I would rather have someone tell me, "Hey, this is shit," so that we can laugh about it. You get?
I get you when you say that.
Yeah, don't
pretenders and hypocrites.
Exactly. Don't go and tell me, like, I want to laugh with you if I've done something, crazy that comes off as a bit funny. You get? That's me. By the way, I'm someone who laughs with people every time they crack jokes about me. But I know my limits, right? I know where I don't attack my parents, or don't attack. You get it? There's a limit. But if it's something I have done, and you're pointing it out, that's cool, bro. Like, we are going to laugh. Like, let's laugh about it. I don't take myself that seriously.
Okay.
Yeah. I like to just be in a space where, it's okay, right? Because every time you tell a joke about me, that's fine. I am right here. I can deal with it. Yeah. You don't tell a joke about someone who's not here, or. And
so,
it's
As we conclude, what legacy are you trying to leave behind?
How do legacies work?
What do you want? How do you want to be remembered?
That's an interesting question. It's something I really have to think about. Yeah, but when
you've never given it thought.
I haven't given it that.
Are you ready for death?
Much of a good. Very ready, and I think that's one thing I had to come to terms with. Yeah, I'm like, you know what? We actually live to die. Yeah? So I'm not going to attach my life to a lot of things that people... But I would really love to live a system that supports basic life. A system that, you see responses to emergencies are good. Yeah? If a place... Like people who have an eye for beauty. People have an eye for beautiful living. Yeah? We are like, I don't know, I don't want to even call it a dumping site, but, people kill dogs on the road, people throw rubbish everywhere, people, like, why do we do that? Like, why don't we have a place where we think about other people before we do certain things? So that kind of mindset where people, it's like using a toilet, in your house. If you have to use a toilet in your house, do you think about the next user? Do you think about the person who is coming after you, or the moment you're done and you're like, I'm done, you zip up or you close up and you're out? Would you leave that thing floating? Would you leave your shit floating right there? Have you thought about the next person? Or every time I use a plate, like I try to make values for my space, for myself, right? Like, I know I'm living alone, so I expect that I need to save time, because the idea is to make everything as easy as possible for me to do the next big thing, right? So how do I save time? I know that after every meal, if something takes less than 5 minutes for me to do, I'd rather do it immediately. I'm not going to pile up plates in my sink, yeah, and say I'll wash it later.
You don't
It's 1 cup. No, 1 cup. You get 5 minutes. Do it. So it's the same thing. I would, of course, it's growing an expectation, but that's how I'm treating myself with my values, so that even when my friends come around, I have that confidence to tell them, hey, I have served you to a meal. I have been kind enough. Please. Because you need to ask yourself, who is supposed? This guy that I have a maid. I have come to his house. I've seen no maid. I've seen no other workers. You get? You know the stage of life I'm in. I am by myself. So you're eating my food, then you're leaving the plate there as well, unattended to.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense. So it's basically that eye for beauty. I don't need to go on the street unless there's a possibility that I didn't see a dog on the road. But people do it for fun. People actually knocking dogs or animals. And then you find a stench. Someone is, I have a rule. Every time I buy bottled water, even those small filters, if I don't have a bag to put in my dumping, then I go back home, wherever, and put it in a rubbish bag and throw it, dispose it off. I will keep it. I'll walk with it. I'll finish my water here and I'll walk with an empty bottle up to where I find.
You can dispose it off.
I can dispose it off. Then one time I was literally in a taxi, and then there's this hot girl walking by and she's taking a bottle of, soda and stuff, and I'm like, okay, this one very hot girl and stuff. And I'm having this little crush and stuff. And then I see the bottle and I'm like, don't do it, because she was just about to finish it. Yeah? And I'm like, don't do it. But the moment she reached the door of the taxi, when she was boarding, she just did this, and I was like, everything gone, Everything gone. It was a total turn off. But that is just what says something about where I want to leave behind. It's not the diversity of it, but it's more of, can we do something? Can I do something? Or can I use something while thinking about the next person? That for me would be the biggest measure of kindness, yeah? We cannot just use things or use people, and so it's a world of, is there honesty? And then can people do certain things? Can people have conversations that are meaningful? Nowadays, someone can date you, before you know it, you're in a relationship alone. You don't even know when someone walked out. Like, is the communication, Is it genuine? Like, hey, right now I can date or I cannot date without trying to, just get something that is pleasurable, then you're out of it the next time. Are you ready to commit? So I've set aside some of those values that I want. Of course, the list keeps growing as I experience life, right? Yeah, it never stops. A vision is really big.
What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
My 20-year-old self, you should have started now.
Start what now?
Adulthood and knowing yourself. Yeah, I think when I got out of high school, I felt I had freedom. Just like I think everyone, just like the same environment everyone gets, yeah?
Yeah.
But only that thought of having freedom came because I felt like I'd grown up with so much comfort.
Oh.
I was, the people who were supposed to have given me all the support and the honesty of talking about the situation that I'm actually facing never did that. And a huge number of the people who raised us didn't tell us true things in the name of protecting us. But I believe everyone is supposed to know the dangers of the kind of space they're living in. If my parents are telling me how they're struggling to do this and that and that and that, it's easy, yeah? It's easier for someone to relate when you share a story or talk about your experience without soliciting ideas or money or advice, yeah? But if I've come to realize that if I came to you with a problem and just shared what I'm going through, actually the best kind of payment or advice you can give me is that if you have gone through a similar experience, what you did, how you handled it would be the best kind of advice to give. So it's relational, right?
Yeah.
It's very relational. And that's the first place of healing that I've noticed, that sharing experiences is good. But most of us, we were never told these experiences. The people who raised us didn't really share these experiences. They thought they were tough enough to handle it. But then piling up, everyone has an emotional bank. Every time you pile up resentment and blame and what reaches a point where it blows, it explodes. And if it explodes and it spills on the people you're raising, you know they're going to collect that same trauma. And when they grow up, they're going to do the same. Yeah. So I don't want to leave something like that. You know, the people around me. I want to talk about things. I want to talk about things without being judged, but that is because I really don't care so much about judgment anymore, because that is there. It will never go off into the world of people, because people want to see what they
as
want to
human
see
beings,
for
you
you.
naturally are supposed to compare things.
Yeah. So the only thing I've learned is how do I deal with stuff like judgment, social media. Who do I listen to when I'm on social media? And who do I visit, you know, and who do I talk to? So those aspects of our life. I one day woke up at home and I was like, guys, I don't know who I can go to for counseling here. I don't know who I can talk to about business in the house. I don't know who I can talk to about health advice. Like, we need to create spaces with the people around us, and that's what I look forward to. Yeah, you've seen pro athletes, successful, rich people. They have very many aspects of their lives in different people. The guy has a personal trainer, he has a chef, he has a financial advisor, he has an investment advisor, he has a personal doctor. But those only happen when you have created those aspects in yourself. You know that you attend to your health, you attend to your fitness goals, you attend to what to eat, what you eat. So as you grow and you start getting money, those aspects now come in form of other people. That is how interdependence now happens.
That's dope. Yeah. That's dope, man. Thank you for this, really.
Yeah, so it's really, I think it feels quite interesting to just
be
able to talk, and sometimes not from a certain perspective. You know.
That's like the whole point of this podcast. Yes, to just sit down and share some knowledge, talk about stuff. And definitely. Now I'm pretty excited on what I'll listen to on the Mindspace podcast.
Oh I really look forward to it. Though Mindspace, like we have actually really discussed, it should be very intentional and directional, because now we have realized that the current weather is so much about mental health and women's values and surrounding, but we have a lot of things to talk about depending on roles and responsibilities.
I agree.
Yeah, and life in general. So it's going to be interesting, and it should be fun.
Sure thing. We're left with a week, right?
Yeah, left with a week.
Kali, thank you.